So far, we talked about ideas, systems, execution, and recovery. But today is about something far more important. It's about ownership, right? Because no matter how good the tools are, you still own the ship, right? And you can't spell ship without ownership. That includes security. And security is your responsibility. And I'll tell you why that's a good thing, right? I know that a lot of people talk about vibe coding and security and having concerns how the two come together, right? And I think I want to use today's session to round up everything we've been talking so far and then introduce a new layer to it, which is the security review built inside Lovable, right? So the tool itself, Lovable, has strong defaults, dedicated security reviewer, and guardrails that provide already a huge advantage over you going, for instance, in ChatGPT or wherever else to write your code. But that doesn't remove responsibility off of your shoulders. You own the code, you own the data, you decide who gets to see and do what, right? And we talked about that in previous lessons, right? You are the one who needs to set up the first line of defense. And one of the first ones is always authentication, right? And making sure that when you build it in such a way that outside users, unauthenticated users, cannot see things that they shouldn't, right? It may seem obvious to people listening to this, but as you're setting these systems up, it is critical that this is addressed at that level, right? Then role separation. Again, another thing we talked about. Deciding early who's an admin, who's a moderator, who's a regular user, what do free users see versus paid users see. Really just making that decision on how your table policies and rules will address this as early as possible by using role level security. Or in plain English, specifying who is allowed to see or change the specific piece of data. On day 8, and day 9, we spent some time talking about this, really, authentication, database, and configuring them, right? And make sure that they are restrictive by default and permissive only when explicitly is needed, right? Nothing too loose, nothing too tight, just the right amount. Now, even when you have all this set up, there could be always some leaks here and there. You know, we're building fast, we're trying to get to market quickly, and sometimes during the process of building, we compromise things a little bit, which doesn't mean that you should just go ahead and publish your app as it is. What you should do instead is, as you want to publish and you feel like your project is ready to go, when you click on the publish button, make sure to click to review your security. Even when the security scanner isn't prompting you to do so, click to review it and then click to update security, because it's completely free of charge to do so. You're not spending any credits, you're just investing a little bit of time in order to be able to let Lovable run through your code base, run through your project dependencies, and find any detected issues. You can include or exclude the view of your project dependencies by toggling on this advanced view and see if anything in your app has any kind of vulnerabilities. And as you can see, my system here does have vulnerabilities that I'm going to try to fix on this particular project. So I'm going to let the security reviewer run. And then when it's done, we're going to talk a little bit more about all the ways that you can remove these security issues. And while Lovable is doing this security update, I want to go back to my transcript and my prompt specifically and talk a little bit about how can you preemptively reduce the amount of security issues in your app. So the first thing you can do is, when you know you're introducing a feature that requires a certain layer of protection, you can use this prompt, right? Explain the feature and say that before you build it, you want to describe who should access the data, who should be able to do what. Again, we talked about CRUD or CRUD. And then finally, what should be public versus protected, right? Let Lovable help you think through this together and make decisions with it together on this, right? When you add authentication, same thing. We talked about it, we've done it. Eventually, what you can do as well without having Lovable run a security review for you is you can prompt it to review the RLS policies through the chat. And then finally do a full security check of everything. Lovable covers a lot of it in here. If you prompt Lovable to do it in the chat, you will incur builder credit costs, so you may as well do it through here. And then as you can see, Lovable can classify issues depending on the severity, right? We have issues that are errors that are critical and required to be fixed. You have warnings, and then you have informational ones. Currently, there are no info issues for me to address. So at this point, it is up to me to decide whether these issues are real or not. If I go back in here, because this is a remix of an old app that I had, I've had videos in the past in it. I no longer do. Lovable found some residual code and suggested that I indeed allow anyone to access the videos without ownership verification, right? And that there's a videos table that allows any user to view any videos using the condition true, right? It explains all the issues. From here, I can do a couple of things, right? Most times what I'll do, I'll just go to this all menu and ask Lovable to try to fix it all. Now, sometimes that makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't make sense is when some of the issues are fine to ignore, right? In this case, I don't have videos in the app. So what I can say to Lovable is that I no longer use this feature and that I can simply click to ignore this issue myself and publish it. For the sake of doing the full training with you, let's try and click to try and fix it all and let Lovable fix all of the security issues for us, right? It's reviewing the scan results, and you can do this process as many times as you like. That's the cool part about the security review. It's free. Just keep doing it. Either fix them one by one, address them separately, right? For instance, again, all users can access all videos. That is supposed to be like that by design. Lovable, sometimes the security reviewer itself is overprotective of you. And I think that's a good thing, right? You still own it, which is another great thing. So you can say, okay, hey, this is supposed to be like that by design. And a lot of times, even the Lovable agent will address that and say, hey, these are issues otherwise, but because of the way your app is designed, I no longer consider these to be valid. You can publish your app freely and safely. Don't ignore these, right? There are a lot of projects where errors can be pretty severe, right? In this case, you can see that security findings are still being processed, but from what I could tell, Lovable is probably going to fix all of them, right? And as you can see, it did. It said that it fixed all 5. There are 0 remaining issues. And at this point, I'm safe to update my app and consider it safe. Now, you can also wait for Lovable to update things. Maybe in another review, it will find something, right? Like, for instance, this one. And I can, in this case, say, this table is actually no longer necessary. The application that I use no longer has videos. You're allowed to delete this table completely because I will no longer be using it, and that will resolve this security issue, right? I can send a prompt from here, right? And then ask Lovable to proceed to remove this issue completely and basically remove it out of scope completely for myself so that I can safely publish. It will run the migration for me and drop the videos table entirely. That way, resolving this problem altogether, right? This is what I was saying when I said you own this. You can still make this decision for yourself, and you should be. You should educate yourself on this. Don't rely on tools. This build is yours. You own it, right? In the resources menu, you can find out all that you need to know about Lovable security features and best practices on avoiding security pitfalls. Read about it. It is yours to begin with, right? We fixed the problem. Now everything is clear. Now I can update my app safely onto the web. Repeat this process as many times as needed. It's free and it's super useful. Tomorrow is a big day for us. Day 14, another showcase day, another opportunity. Get ready to build something, and let's get ready to share as well. And I will see you tomorrow.